Hi, I'm Alan Ross, Managing Editor of APC Media. We are here at the 2026 IEEE PES T&D show. My next guest is Drew Welton. We've done this before, Drew.
We have, Alan. Thank you so much for having me back.
You are the, I'm going to say, king of Intellirent North America, but that's because you and I have connected.
That's correct.
What is your exact role at Intellirent?
Well, it's changed. I was vice president of sales, and I was the only outside salesperson, so to speak. And now it is business and technical development.
Right.
Is my position.
We're going to talk about that part of technical development because
Sure.
it's a technical development is about technology, equipment, and people. So we'll get there.
Absolutely.
Before we get there, we've done this a number of times. I always ask the same question, but I get different answers because things change.
Absolutely.
What's going on in the marketplace right now as you see it?
Oh, well, the growth is just tremendous.
Yeah.
Not only in new business and also upgrades to infrastructure, the energy infrastructure, and of course, data centers is the big buzzword right now. And I would say that in our rental to the service companies, I would say a good 40% of that is going on data center projects.
Wow,
And
really?
it is that big.
Yeah.
It truly is. But the thing with data centers is they need power.
Right.
And to have enough power, we need to build the infrastructure.
Right.
And so, the utility industry in a whole has to grow and has to update, not only with new substations, but updated substations. And so the growth has just been tremendous. Now, I think when we last talked, I think our in the rental industry, our business was growing at an average of, coming out of COVID, maybe 10, 15% a year. This year, we're experiencing about a 30% growth.
Oh, wow.
In that. And, a lot of that, Alan, is due to the fact that CapEx is difficult to come by when you have to spend so much money in terms of labor and trying to hire enough people to do the job. Lead times for test equipment is getting longer and longer, just like it is for many of the apparatus that we deal with. And the overall cost has grown tremendously as well. So we've seen a great growth in our industry, which is great.
Yeah. You mentioned something before we got on camera here, but you mentioned something about how much CapEx you all had to spend in order to supply the market that's growing by 30%. You just had a huge purchase.
Yeah. Actually, we've invested just in this past year over $20 million in additional rental assets to our fleet, and we've always had the biggest in North America.
Right.
But in order to keep around 60 to 70% utilization of our assets, we had to increase that. I mean, the biggest, if you looked at Intellirent as a company, the biggest benefit that people have when they call us is that, number one, we have everything they need.
Yeah.
Because the most difficult thing for a testing company is to try and rent equipment, and you may have 3 out of 4 or 2 out of 5 pieces of equipment that they need just because your inventory can't support it. So one of the things we've been blessed by is our new owner, Sandbrook Capital, has really stepped up to the plate and allowed us to increase the inventory levels that will accommodate the industry.
So I know you're in Roanoke, Texas, and Houston, Texas, but you've got a new...
We do. We just opened about a month ago a new facility in Phoenix. Yeah. That area has grown tremendous. We've always had a good customer base there, but it's growing even more, and the demands have grown. The thing about our industry is it's not the best in terms of planning. Yeah. When you plan a new substation or some type of a job, you usually have time to get prepared for that. 93-94% of our shipments go out for next day or 2-day delivery.
Wow.
Yeah. So logistically, we have to be able to support that.
That's like Amazon Prime.
It very much is.
Intellirent Prime.
Yeah. Well, the other good news, of course, Phoenix is a huge growing industry. I mean, between chip manufacturers and data centers, it really is. I mean, that whole area there is just really, really booming, and we just want to be able to support the local customers out there as well. Because a lot of the customers, I mean, one of the reasons we kept Houston is because there's a great demand for customers to just drive up, pick up what they want, and drive off. So it's almost like going to a fast food restaurant. They drop off a bunch of stuff, they pick it up, and go on to the next job.
So I got McDonald's Intellirent.
Yeah.
I got Intellirent Prime.
Indeed.
You can use those. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that we talked about, we've done this every time, but it's hard to get people. The service companies, utilities, we're all struggling to get people.
It is.
How does Intellirent help?
Well, it gives the opportunity, instead of the testing companies having to invest in CapEx, getting able to use those funds to attract new employees.
Okay.
I mean, right now, Alan, and I know this because our CRM takes an amazing amount of work to keep up with, because people are moving around so quickly. It's incredible. I mean, a field technician, that gets to NETA Level 2 is, probably making a good 6 figures. And, the problem is you work weekends, you work holidays, you're on call, you're constantly traveling away from the family. And so the promise of maybe not so much travel and a nice sign-on bonus and an extra $4 or $5 an hour is enticing.
Yeah.
And people are moving all over the place. The other is that there's just not many new people coming up in the industry, which is a problem. Now, I'm on the training committee for NETA. And one of the things we've instituted, which I think I'm really excited about, is a new apprenticeship program. Where we have some of the testing companies right now, the NETA companies, pulling people out of high school and getting them trained and getting them up to speed. And, that's just something that they've been lacking in.
How long does it take for the average apprentice to go from
entry level to apprentice? It's a good 2 years before you can really get to that NETA Level 2, which is really where you want to be.
And if you come out of high school and because you're being paid while you're learning.
Oh, absolutely.
So it is a great career.
It is. It is a fabulous career, and it's going to keep being more and more in demand. I mean, the fact that, when I was growing up and when my friends were growing up, when high school, typically you either went to trade school or you went off to college. And my dad said, "You will go to college." And I said, "Okay, Dad, I can't argue with that." But that's 4 years of time you don't get out in the field, and that's usually a hefty bill in terms of tuition, paying your student loans. This way, right out of high school, you can jump into an industry and a trade that is just going to be with you for the rest of your career.
Yeah. That's good. One of the things that I know Intellirent does is when people need help with the equipment that you're renting them, that 2-day shipping, you're getting it to them. If somebody calls and says, this is great, but our tech doesn't know how to, you've got a training program or support program.
Absolutely. Well, the very first thing we have is a 24/7 customer support. So if you're on a weekend or you're on a holiday or even late at night and, the equipment's not working or performing the way it should, or you're just struggling, you just call our hotline and it goes to one of our experienced technicians.
I was going to say, is that you 24/7?
Well, it could be sometimes, but no, we have a gentleman that's, was 35 years NETA Level 3 in the industry, who decided to come to work for us, and he does nothing but support people on the phone. His name is Pierre, and we have this saying, "Don't despair, call Pierre." But most of our inside sales, inside support team can answer the questions when they need help, because it's tough sometimes to get a hold of the vendor. And I'm not saying that the vendors don't support their product. They certainly do. But sometimes it's just, who do you call? What happens when I just get voicemail, which, and our president, Neil McCaw, is such a smart marketing person. Never wants a customer to have to go through voicemail and go through those recorded, for this song, press 1, for this, press 2, for this, press 3. There's always, during business hours, a live voice on our team.
I think purgatory is being stuck online and you're moved. That's purgatory. Yeah.
Really, it might even be worse than that. It may be further down.
Yeah. So you've been doing this a long time.
35 years.
35 years.
Yeah.
You're kind of an icon of the industry from Omicron. You worked there for a long time.
Yep.
People are the most important part of our industry.
Oh, absolutely.
We can't get them fast enough and trained fast enough. Make a case for why people ought to come to work for Intellirent.
Oh, because you have, number one, you have tremendous growth opportunity. Okay. In fact, we'll probably be opening another facility later on this year in a location to be determined. Okay. Lips are sealed. But, it's so great to have, if you work for a vendor, let's say you work for Doble or Omicron or Megger, you're locked into their equipment and their solution. And at Intellirent, we have to know everything there is to know about Doble, about Megger, about Omicron. We have guys that are certified in infrared technology. We have guys that are certified in RTS, Doble RTS keys and protection. And there's just whatever your discipline is that you want to branch out to, you have that ability. But the thing I really, really appreciate about Intellirent is the opportunity to gain recognition for your contribution. They really appreciate what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
And Neil has been great. He's like, Drew, you're the only outside sales guy. How are you going to see 7,000 customers? I'm like, Neil, I'm not. He said, then how do we get the most exposure? Well, I joined committees. I'm on the NETA training committee. I'm on the IEEE Transformers committee. I'm on the Pro Conference Planning committee. And by this, you get exposure, because if you're doing a paper or doing a presentation, and I never really like to go to a trade show or a conference without getting on the agenda to share what I've learned. And which brings me to being part of the Transformers Committee, is that we are constantly updating standards and renewing standards and developing new standards, specific to Transformers, which gives me the ability to take all that work that these geniuses do and bring it to the people that can use it.
Yeah. That's excellent. Yeah. NETA, to be on the NETA training committee is also because NETA is putting a lot of emphasis on training.
Oh, absolutely.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of different aspects. I mean, one of the challenges has been, just as you mentioned, in this whole recruiting process and retention.
All right.
Some of the guys that have been on the training committee for many, many years, the subject of the recruiting world comes up and they just turn red in the face and don't give me a gun right now. Because the so much movement has been a real big obstacle.
Right.
But one of the challenges that we have is getting technicians, especially the newer ones, to that next level.
Right.
Because once you get to NETA Level 2, to get to 3 and 4 is years of work.
Right.
And it's difficult because all the things you have to know to be a NETA Level 2, you don't always get exposed to in your day-to-day work.
Right.
You may only get a little portion of it. So how do we gain knowledge? How do we get them educated? So coming up with training programs to get to that next level is always a challenge, and that's what we work very hard on.
Well, on behalf of the industry, I really want to thank you for doing that, because
absolutely,
training and development standards from IEEE Transformer Committee. I think there's like 600 people that attend.
Oh my gosh! Well, of course, within IEEE, you have different societies.
Right.
You've got the computers, you've got the Industrial Applications Society, and then of course you've got the Power Engineering Society, which is why we're here this week. And in the PES, you've got I think 17 different committees.
Okay.
You have power system and relay relay and controls, you've got circuit breaker, you've got insulating materials, and then you also have the Transformers Committee.
Right.
So in the Transformers Committee, our responsibility is to develop and enhance standards for the design, the use, the testing, everything to do with actually a transformer. And that's all types of transformers: power transformers, distribution transformers, pad mount, dry type, oil fill, instrument transformers, bushings, anything that has to do with a transformer. And they've been around now for about 100 years.
Yeah.
And can you imagine what developing a standard 100 years ago for a transformer must have been like? But when we develop a standard, and within the committee itself, there's various subcommittees. Right. So you have the bushing subcommittee, and you have the oil, the insulation committee, and right. And within the committees, you have working groups, and the working groups are established to revise existing standards, because they're only good for 10 years.
All right.
And you have to update that standard every 10 years, and it takes 3 to 4 years to update a standard. So it's a revolving machine. But we typically have, we meet twice a year, and we typically have about 650 attendees. And they're from all facets of the industry.
All right.
The members of the Transformer Committee consists of people from engineering firms. Each transformer OEM, every manufacturer's got representatives there. Utilities, the transformer experts from various utilities are always there. Testing people, the people that I work with, NETA people, go to the Transformers Committee. And you don't have to be a member to go. You can just go, you can participate. It's a great learning experience. It's a great way for you to share your knowledge in certain working groups. Let's say you're an expert in bushing repair, right? Well, you go to some of the working groups specific to bushings, and you can share your knowledge, you can participate and help write new standards. And then I think after typically around 2 to 3 years, after you've been to so many meetings and participated, you can petition for membership to the committee. And once you're a member, you have voting rights. But writing these standards, it takes a lot of effort, because not only are you updating an existing standard to include new technologies and techniques, but you're also coming up with brand new standards. For example, I'm secretary on a working group right now that is looking at the effects of reverse power condition on transformers, and to see if we have a potential design issue in some instances. So it's a great opportunity to really meet with people that are just so professional. And you've got different OEMs. You've got people from GE Prolec and Delta Star and Virginia Transformers, and there's never anything competitive. We're all working together to establish these standards. In fact, if you try and get commercial, forget it. You're gone.
If you're trying to say, buy my thing,
No, that's not what we're about. Yeah.
Drew, thank you for all the work that you do outside of Intellirent, because that is one of the things that has made Intellirent, the reputation your company's got is tremendous.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much. You bet.